I really don't know how to introduce this episode, so let's just jump straight into it. So this is going to be a bit of a shorter episode today because I'm just here to announce what I think is a pretty big development in my life, and that is that I am officially a businessman now. I think. As of yesterday, the Snake Stelleo content empire, this includes this channel, the Snake Rocks Extras, Stability Music, Alpha Zero, the music released under the Snake Rocks and Snake Stelleo, all of that is now a sole proprietorship officially registered with the IRS. What does this mean for you? Nothing. But this change is super exciting for me because I feel like it is just the first of many steps to actually doing this creative content thing professionally. I don't know if I've talked about it very much on this channel yet, but I do hope to eventually be able to make creative content, whether it be videos on Snake Stelleo or music on Stability for a living. And there are a lot of steps and a lot of patience required to get there, which I am well aware of, and I've been doing everything I can to prepare for that as I get ready to finish college. But there's also the business side of things, and I've been working over the past semester so far to establish a little bit more legitimacy for myself so that I could potentially attract, I don't know, merchants, sponsors, whatever the professionals are dealing with these days. It's very much going to be a learning process as I go through it. And one word of advice that I received from a lot of industry peers and mentors is to establish an LLC, or a limited liability company. An LLC can be just you, or it can be you and a small group of employees, but generally speaking, that gives you credibility in the business. It can protect your privacy and insulate you from liability if there's like, I don't know, a lawsuit and somebody tries to sue me for copyright infringement or something like that. May the Archons forbid, but the problem I had with this whole venture was that any way you slice it, registering an LLC is going to cost money. Whether you do it through a service provider that can handle all of the paperwork for you, or you decide to do the paperwork yourself through filling out forms and sending them to the IRS, there are still fees and taxes that come with that. But registering a sole proprietorship is a much easier process because it's free and all you have to do is enter in a little bit of personal information and answer a few questions about the nature of your business. So, Snake Stelleo is a sole proprietorship now, and I can sign documentation with Snake Stelleo as a DBA on it. So, like I briefly touched upon earlier in this episode, what does this mean for you all? Nothing much yet. I just wanted to talk about this on tonight's episode of the podcast because it is a super exciting development for me. I finally feel like I'm on the first step towards a more professional approach to content creation. Eventually, I will change this sole proprietorship to an LLC once I start making an actual meaningful amount of revenue from my content and I have a little bit more resources and more knowledge to expand into a proper business. But for the time being, this is what I've got to work with. A fun benefit of having this officially registered sole proprietorship now is that there are a lot of things that I can write off as business expenses, even if my business is making zero profit. So for example, if I buy a product with the specific purpose of reviewing it on stream or in a video, I can write that off as a business expense. I have some subscriptions for tools that I use to make music. Those can be written off as business expenses as well. Granted, it's not much of a cut now because I'm not really earning that much taxable income in the first place, but these are the kinds of things that I can see myself planning ahead for because I already have my intended long-term path in mind, and I think this will become a bigger asset over time. There's still a lot of things that I need to learn about, like just recently I was figuring out if I need to register my content in some formal manner under this sole proprietorship, which would have been an absolute nightmare, by the way, because that includes hundreds of songs and more than 100 videos on this channel, as well as all the other content from my other channels. Thankfully, I don't need to do that unless there is something that I feel really strongly about protecting, and I might be able to eat some of the fees for that later on down the line when, again, I am making a meaningful amount of revenue from this shit. But yeah, Snake Stelleo is officially my name, sort of, maybe. In certain contexts, it actually legally is, and I feel a little bit more like a professional now. Again, you're not really a true professional unless you're actually doing something for a living, but there are steps to the process, especially in this type of market with the way everyone is trying to build up a self-made operation. I mean, if anybody out there who is listening to this is actually doing content creation for a living, you can probably understand what I'm trying to get at, hopefully anyway. But if there's also stuff that I'm getting completely wrong, you are free to correct me down in the comments. I mean, I'm learning all this as I go, so there are bound to be things that I mess up. Hopefully none that land me in any significant legal trouble. But yeah, this is going to be the start of a new venture behind the scenes going forward, and I figured I should give you all just a little bit of insight into what that's like. It really is free and easy on the IRS's website to register a sole proprietorship. You just go to the correct form. I think it's from like 9 to 5 Eastern or something like that. So the IRS does need to be open for you to be able to file this form and register, but just enter in some of your personal information, answer a few questions about the nature of the business you want to start, and anyone can be a businessman now, I think. But yeah, I think that'll be about it for this episode. Kind of a short one, but I was just really excited about this development for my creative content and how things will be handled behind the scenes going forward. I will hopefully have a more in-depth episode later this week. But, spoiler alert, the thing I want to talk about later this week is going to have to do with something that is persistently messing with my sleep schedule, and is the reason why for the past couple of weeks I've really only had the energy to do one episode of this podcast on top of the usual video upload on Saturdays. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. If not, this podcast will generally become a once weekly thing, but that still does mean I am putting out new content twice a week instead of once a week. A podcast episode, a video, that hopefully will feed the algorithm just a little bit more. But yeah, that'll be about it for this episode. As always, if you like the music you're hearing in the background, it is available for free download through Stability Music. A link is in the description. It is on all major streaming platforms as well. Thanks for listening, everyone. I will talk to you all later. Enjoy the outro.